In this tutorial, we will explore the main interface of the Godot game engine. The tutorials currently being uploaded are part of a game development course I created and published on Udemy. You can get the full course from the link below the video, where you will learn how to create both 2D and 3D games by building 3 powerful and exciting projects. When you open the engine, you can create a new project by clicking this new button, or import an existing project from your computer using this import button. If you choose to import project, you can add any project that's already on your computer. Now let's go ahead and create a new project by clicking this new button. First, you can type your project name here. So let's call it 2D game. Next, choose where you want to save the project. You can save it anywhere on your computer, but it's advisable not to save it on the partition where your Windows operating system is installed. So, I will save this project in a specific location, and then click on Create Folder. This will create a new folder named 2D Game in the selected path. Next, you will see options for render settings. The first option is Forward, which is suitable for high-performance games like those on PC or PlayStation. The second option is Mobile, which is great for mid-quality games on mobile devices as well as PCs. The third option is Compatibility, which is used for web games and for devices with lower specifications. For this tutorial, we will choose the mobile settings to create a project with moderate performance. After opening the project, you will notice that it's empty, and at the top you will see the project name 2D Game. Now let's start explaining the main windows. The first window is called the Scene window. This window is used to add different types of the scenes to the game. For example, we can add a 2D scene to create two-dimensional scene. Or we can add a 3D scene for creating three-dimensional scene. Or we can use the other nodes to add specialized elements. It's important to understand that any object in the Godot engine is named a node, such as player or an enemy. For example, if we create a 2D scene, a node 2D will appear in the scene window, and this node 2D will initially be empty. If we scroll down, we will find the File System window. This is where all the files you want to use in your game are stored, such as images, animations, 3D models, and more. If you want to use some files, we can simply drag and drop them into this window. For example, if there is an image, I can drag it and add it to the File System window. You will find that the image is now part of the project. We can use it by selecting the Node 2D option, then dragging the image and drop it here. Now the image will appear in the scene, positioned under Node 2D. That means this image is a child for this Node 2D. If we want to save the scene, we can press Ctrl+S, or go to the Scene menu and choose Save Scene. Then we click on the Save option. Now the scene named Node 2D has been saved, and we can see it in the File System window. Now, if we close this scene and want to open it again, there are several ways to do it. The first way is we can click on the scene named Node 2D, drag it and drop it here. We will see that the scene opens up again. The second and the better way is to double-click on the scene, and you will find that it opens as well. The third window we have is Import window. This window contains the properties of the objects in the project. For example, if we clicking on this image, we will see many settings related to this image appear in the Import window. For example, there is a setting called Import As. These settings allow us to choose whether to add this image, if it's 2D texture, or for example, it's a 3D texture. There are also many other settings that we will learn about later. This window is very useful for 3D games. For example, the player model may be in GLB format, and the animations for the player could also be in the GLB format. To indicate to the game engine that is the player 3D model, and these are the animations 3D, we use the import as option in the import window, and we will see examples of that later. We also have the inspector window here, which displays the properties of any selected element in the scene. This means that if we click on the image, we will see its properties displayed in the inspector window. The first property is the sprite 2D property, which allows us to control the image or the visuals aspect of the image. For example, we can change the image by dragging another image and drop it to the sprite 2D property like this. There is also an important property called transform. This property lets us control the image's position, rotation, or scale. For example, we can change the image position on the x-axis by setting the value to 200, and we will see that the image moves slightly to the right. We can also move the image on the y-axis by setting the value to 300. We will see that the image moves slightly downwards. We can also move the image by clicking over the position X and dragging the mouse left or right, and the image will move along with it. Next, we have rotation option, which controls the rotation of the image. In the rotation section, I can change this value from minus 360 degrees to 360 degrees, which will rotate the image. I will set the rotation value back to 0. We also have a scale property, which is responsible for the size of the image. For example, if we enlarge the image, it will grow large like this. We can also scale this image in just one direction by disabling the uniform scaling icon. This icon is responsible for scaling our object in both width and height across all axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. To undo the last action we performed in the image, we can press Ctrl+Z. To redo the last action, we can press Ctrl+Shift+Z. Next, we have the node window. This window allows us to create some of the events we need within the game. For example, we can add a button and set its properties. From this window, we can add event works when we pressed on this button. For example, we will add a button by clicking on Add a Child Node, then searching for button and selecting it. You will see that the button has been added, and we can resize it to this extent. After that, in the text property, let's put the word press. Now we have this button, and we will run the game to test it. You will see a message asked if we want to set this scene named Node 2D as the main scene, which is what we want, so we will click on Select Current. The game will run, and we have the button. If we click on the button, it won't do anything yet. To make the button work, we have to go to the node window, then go to the pressed event. We will double-click on this option, and now we can link the pressed event to any script. In this case, we can write code in the script that will make the button respond when clicked. However, we haven't added any script yet. This part will be implemented particularly later, but this is a brief overview of the node window. We should also note that these options exist under the Signals section, which has two windows inside it. The first window is the Signals window. Let's talk about the second window, Group window. This window allows us to create group and add it for one or many nodes. After that, we can apply specific functions, like interactions to all objects in the group without having to work on each object individually. Now I will delete this button and go back to the image and open Groups window. For example, if we have multiple enemies in the scene, how can I control all of them at once? I can create a group called Enemy and then click the Add button. This group will be associated with all the enemies, allowing us to control all of them, such as destroying enemies or making all enemies attack the player. This is advantage of using groups. I will delete this group. We also have the History window, which records everything we have done within this scene. Here we can see all the actions we have taken in this scene. For example, the last action we performed was removing the button, so Remove Node is displayed. We also add a group called Enemy, and after that we removed the group. These are the properties of the History window related to this scene. Also, at the bottom we have Output window, which displays errors or warning messages. In the bottom, we can see any errors in the script or issue running in the game will appear. At the top, there is a button to start the game. If we press it, this current scene, which contains the Godot game engine logo, will be shown as we see here. We can pause the game from this button, and we can also stop the game from this button. There is also a button to play the current scene. For example, if we add a new scene and make it 3D scene by selecting 3D scene like this, then we will save the scene by pressing Ctrl+S. Now, if we press the button to run the game, we will find that the main scene called Node 2D is running in front of us. However, if we click this button that runs the current scene, and we selected this 3D scene, there is also this button that allows us to run a specific scene. We will see that this 3D scene is now running and it's empty. If we click on this button, it will allow us to choose which scene we want to run. We can select the scene we want to run. For example, the 2D scene. Let's choose it like this. Now the 2D scene is running in front of us, and it contains the Godot game engine logo. After that, we have the Enable Movie Maker mode button. If we press this button, it will record our game as a video while it runs. Now, if we simply run the game, a warning message will appear, indicating that we have not specified the file path and the name of the file in which we will save the video. Now, let's define the file path and name. We will go to Project and then Project Settings. After that, we will go to the Movie Writer option and choose the location for the file that will contain the recorded game video. I will select, for example, the folder called Screen Record and choose the file name GameVid. And then I will click Save. You can choose the location you want. This is just an example. Now if we run the game, you will see frames being counted and the time being recorded for the video. We cannot close the scene that is being recorded from this button. We must close the scene normally from this window. Now, if we go to the path that contains the saved video, we will find a video named Test Game. If we play it, we will see the video that has contained the Godot logo, like our 2D scene. If we have created a scene where the player is running and fighting enemies, this screen will be recorded, and the video will show the player and other elements. These were the main windows in the Godot game engine. There are many other windows that we will learn about later, such as audio window, animation, and more. Thank you for your watching, and see you in the next video.